Welcome to another edition of the Paranormal News Hour. A very special Paranormal News Hour because tonight we are at the James R. Ross Memorial Studios high above Jesse's Catering. Great food downstairs. And we're overlooking the beautiful city of Lawrence, Massachusetts. That's historic, haunted Lawrence, Massachusetts. And Bill's with me. Hi, Bill. How we doing?
Oh, great, Tom. Great.
It's a great night, isn't it? The trick-or-treaters are out. We saw all the ghosts and goblins earlier. Yeah. When we leave here tonight, we'll see some more kids. North Andover, Methuen. They're all enjoying their trick-or-treating. Yeah. I remember those days, dressed up as a grape a couple times. Yeah. Dressed up as a cop a couple times.
Using soap to wax people's windows.
Yeah, I remember all those. Those were some of the greatest days when we were younger. Going to Salem again. We went to Salem this year. It was a decent turnout. Yeah. So tonight, Bill, tonight we have a guest coming on a little bit later on. We're gonna run this a little later than expected because it is Halloween. But we'll be out here. We're supposed to start a few minutes ago, but no big deal. Tonight, though, what I want to talk about. Let's start off. People are sitting at home going, let's wait for those trick-or-treaters. Mm-hmm. Knock, knock, trick-or-treat. But what happens if we go knock, knock, and there are no trick-or-treaters? Uh-oh. Do we answer the door?
Yeah.
What do you think? Should we answer the door if we hear knock, knock, and we look and there's no trick-or-treaters? What do we suggest we tell people?
Look out the window?
No. Yeah. I'd look out the window first.
Yeah.
I would not answer a door with 3 knocks if there are no trick-or-treaters there. Because you might get something you may not want.
That's right.
So, with that said, the paranormal is a very interesting realm of science and history. And anything can be haunted, as Bill and I both know. We've been down this road many a times. So, Bill, what are some of the hauntings out there?
Some of the hauntings?
Yeah, some of like the series of hauntings. Let's start off with, say, a level 1 haunting.
Level 1?
Yeah.
Probably noise.
Noise.
Right, a knock, banging on the wall.
A little smell.
Footsteps, something like that. That starts off.
And then we can go, and sometimes you get an odd smell, but it's usually pleasant perfume or something reasonable, maybe. Level 2.
Level 2 is when something contacts you. Maybe touches you. You feel something touch you and it's very cold. Most people say when something touches them, it's very cold. It's not hot. It's cold. Well, of course, the entity's dead, right? It's not going to be hot, so you know it's going to be cold. So it touches you. Or you feel something crawling all over you. That's another thing. And the third haunt is when it attacks you, pushes you, maybe down the stairs. If you're going down the steps.
Smells a little nastier.
Well, yeah, it gets a little nastier. So now, you're into something really bad, so. You might bring somebody in, like a shaman. I go with a shaman. Mm-hmm. Some people would go with a priest. Me, I would go with a shaman. All right? The priests are not always successful. A shaman is 100% because they've been dealing with entities for thousands of years. A shaman is a native Indian. Sometimes he's a medicine man that becomes a shaman. Medicine man only deals with medicine, plants and stuff. A shaman deals with the paranormal, with the spirit world. So that's why you want to bring in a shaman. He can deal with any entity. And most likely get rid of it too. Okay?
So those are the different levels. I would also put the smells get more putrid. Demonic is nothing but the smell of death.
Well,
for the most
sometimes you can smell like sulfur or
yeah.
rotten flesh, stuff like that. And that's a real demonic type entity that does that. Okay? And a demonic entity is very powerful. It can lift a refrigerator up. Okay? The other entities are not that strong. Only a demonic entity can do that. You can pick a 400-pound refrigerator up, show you how powerful it is. It wants to show you how powerful it can rip you apart. That's
right.
how strong it is. It lifts it up by itself, moves it 3 feet off the ground, puts it right in the middle of the kitchen. And that's how. And it wants to show you that it can kill you anytime it wants. If it wants to. It can attack.
That's scary.
That is terrifying.
That is terrifying.
Of course.
We got some people tuning in and watching. My good friend John D'Amico. John, ask your father about the rose-colored smells we used to smell at the Comfort Suites. John's father and I used to work together years ago when I was in college doing maintenance at the old Comfort Suites. It's no longer Comfort Suites, so it's easy for us to talk about it.
Yeah.
But all the staff
used to be the drive-in first.
Yeah, first it was a drive-in. All the staff would smell that rose-scented perfume. So, but thanks, John. No, we're in Lawrence today. We're at Lawrence Community Access TV, high above Jesse's Diner, overlooking the beautiful Merrimack River on one angle, and we're in a beautiful old mill building that is gorgeous. This has been a godsend, so we're happy to be here tonight. So we just talked a little bit about what the basic hauntings are, and what they, level 1, level 2, level 3, or mild to demonic. One thing though is, just so you guys do know this, demons were never on this in our realm. If you have a demonic haunting, it is because it's something more serious. Something was brought in.
Most likely it's interdimensional.
Correct.
It's not from here.
Right. So. Where someone like Casper the Friendly Ghost, or your keys being moved, or the lights flickering.
Well, that's a poltergeist.
That's a little different activity.
That's a poltergeist that does that. The poltergeist is interdimensional too. But it's not as powerful as demonic entity. But the demonic entity wants to kill you, wants to possess you and kill you. That's his goal. All right? A poltergeist's goal is to get you out of the house. I want to terrify you. Move things, throw things around, lift things up like couches and stuff. Move it. Doesn't pick it up, just moves the couch.
Right. Now, there is an interesting poltergeist activity that took place here in beautiful Lawrence, Massachusetts, and in wonderful Methuen, Massachusetts. Right here on Andover Street. It actually started in Methuen at an old farmhouse called Martin's Tree Farm, located on House Street, right on the Haverhill border. Okay. It's now I believe it's 55 and older housing. It was owned by the Toll brothers. But right there, Martin's Tree Farm, I've done talks on this one, late 60s. They woke up one day and had water coming out of the wall, out of the sofa, out of everywhere. In fact, one of the articles titled in one of the books is called Water, Water Everywhere. They didn't know what it was. Police, fire, building inspector, code inspectors, code enforcement all showed up, including the media.
Yeah.
For years I read about that story in the Eagle Tribune around Halloween, which is the Lawrence Eagle Tribune now, and they don't probably run that stuff nearly as much as they used to.
Well, the poltergeist can start fires, right? I've listened to other people that have been in houses, and all of a sudden coins come out of nowhere, falling out, right out, like a portal there or something. Comes right out of the portal, falls on the ground. The thing is, all the coins, say if there's like 30 coins, They're all would-be heads, right? Now, if you know a 50-50 chance of heads or tails, now how can they all heads? Okay? So that's paranormal, having them all come up heads instead of some heads, some tails.
Right.
That's very paranormal. They come up all heads. Okay? Also stones. Stones come out of nowhere, banging on the roof of a house. That's a poltergeist doing that too. Okay?
If anybody's listening at home on Facebook and you want to chime in and send us a question, I'll be more than happy to answer your question if we can.
Yeah, I don't think anybody's gonna.
We got a few people listening live right now.
Yeah.
My good friend John D'Amico is on live. We got people on.
Mm-hmm.
They're enjoying it. So yes, so that water everywhere went from Methuen on House Street. The family left to go to his in-laws' house here on Andover Street in historic, beautiful Lawrence, Massachusetts. And the poltergeist activity actually followed him to the house in Lawrence.
Okay.
And then within a year, everything had stopped, just like that.
Yeah,
Boom, gone.
A poltergeist can go from one day to months or to years. You know.
It was gone. The family said it was gone, and we never heard anything again. And I didn't even hear that night. Some of my family members knew the family. I only started reading that when I started reading the newspaper around Halloween to get all the haunted stories. Mm-hmm. Since I've been very fascinated by the paranormal. Mm-hmm. So that's one that's one idea of a poltergeist activity in this area.
I've searched on the internet. I got like 50 poltergeist cases.
Right.
Which I didn't bring with me, but I just got 50. There's many more. But I have 50 poltergeists.
Wow.
Including the Enfield in England and the Connecticut poltergeist with Paulino and Ed and Lorraine Warren.
Right.
Were there in Connecticut.
Mm-hmm.
Now they had police in there and they had firemen in the kitchen. And they saw that refrigerator. The demonic entity was in that house. Picked the refrigerator up, moved it right in the middle of the kitchen and put it down.
Was that the Bridgeport haunting? No.
Yeah, that's the Bridgeport.
Bridgeport.
It's in Connecticut.
Bridgeport, Connecticut haunting.
And then, right, the people that were running the police station and the fire station, they told them not to say anything. Mm-hmm. They were eyewitnesses, but they were told they'd be fired if they said anything.
Yeah.
So they were quiet about it. So they wanted to say it was a hoax.
Right.
So they come out in the paper. Before that, they were reporting all the stuff that was going on. And at the end, they reported it was a hoax. The girl did everything. So that was it.
Mm. That's the problem when they start reporting hoax that aren't hoax. And
Yeah.
it turns the whole field upside down and outside and in.
Mm-hmm.
So
they don't want people to think about that this is paranormal.
no, they don't.
It was a hoax. Okay.
And it's sad that people think that way.
But Ed and Lorraine Warren knew it wasn't, and Paulina knew it wasn't either. It wasn't a hoax.
Oh, of course. And let's get into that for a few minutes, okay? With the new Conjuring out, it's Halloween, Conjuring 1 through 4.
Conjured the Last Rites. That's the name of the
last one.
The
correct.
last one coming out.
So let's look at this from a different point of view, okay? I grew up in the 80s watching Unsolved Mysteries, just like anybody else did that lived through the 80s and the 90s. And I saw on those shows the work that the legendary Ed and Lorraine Warren were doing, okay? Yes, they get themselves in some interesting situations. And yes, all the time they were not successful, but name me somebody in this field that's successful 100% of the time, and I have a bridge in Brooklyn for sale.
Or swampland in Florida.
Or swampland in Florida, that's even better.
Yeah.
More than happy to sell you that swampland. And then you can go find your own cryptids and your own ghosts, because you'll be a ghost. What roams those swamplands.
Disappear.
Yeah.
Right.
So I kind of just let it ride. Get a call with a certain number to it. I'm like, wow, call me. Yeah, hello? Yep. You gotta watch what you say. Okay, what did I say? Oh, about the paranormal. Okay, what did I say? And there's silence over the phone. And they're like, you protected Ed and Lorraine Warren. I said, no, I've never protected them. I look at things from both sides. Now, what we do know and what we've read about him through the years, and I know you've done your own research here and there. All right. As we know from our friend and fellow paranormal investigator from Historic Haunted Rhode Island, that is, and that's not the name of his team, I'm just saying he's part of the historic haunted locations out there, including the Borden House. Not the Borden House. Where was I going with this?
Not Lizzie Borden, no.
No. Where was I going with this? I just lost
Well,
my...
we went to the cemetery.
Cemetery.
With Carl.
With Carl.
Carl and Keith, too.
Oh, yeah.
They're both there.
Correct.
Cemetery.
But we're talking about the Warrens do.
Yeah.
Now, anything you do in life has to have a study, okay? When people try to figure out how many hot dogs can one human eat, you have to have a scientific study or some type of study. So back in the day, when no one knew what paranormal takeover is, or use any word you want, when the entity gets involved with you and your family, and they actually take control of the situation. That's what we're talking about. You need someone to come in from the outside to help you. And back then, the only people that were capable of doing it were Ed and Lorraine Warren. Lorraine was a TB nurse. Wrong person. My brains are going all over the place. There's actually something in the room with us tonight, that's why. Lorraine was the psychic, Ed was the researcher.
He's a demonologist.
He's a demonologist. Now, when he started, what is demonology back then? No one really knew. So sometimes you have to, even though he's a demonologist and she's a psychic, sometimes you have to check things out, like run experiments. The only difference was every case they went on was an experiment. Unknown. And one of those cases he got punched out in because he decided to keep the wife under control of an entity longer than the husband did. Does that make them bad people? No, it doesn't.
That was the Conjuring House.
That was the Conjuring House in Harrisburg, Rhode Island.
Well,
that does not...
It's Lorraine that wanted to contact the entity.
Correct. But it wasn't a bad thing, because they were able to learn from it.
When Lorraine contacted the entity attacked his wife.
Right.
Okay, Roger, his name is Roger. He attacked Roger's wife. Threw her out of the chair right across the room 20 feet. Okay? That's when he went over to Ed and punched him in the mouth.
Right.
So that's it. Everybody out of the house. He threw everybody out after that.
Right, but if he didn't do that and waited a little long, if he pulled it out right away and got them all safe, we wouldn't know what these things are really capable of doing. You know, you're testing paranormal science in reality. And you have to use other people.
This entity was wicked.
Right.
Okay? It's sort of like the one in Tennessee, the Bell Witch. Same
let's
thing.
talk about that one. You want to lead the Bell Witch?
The Bell Witch, John Bell. He moved his family to either Tennessee, I forgot what it was, Tennessee or Kentucky. I think it was Tennessee. I'll go with Tennessee. So he moved his family to Tennessee, bought some 3 or 4 acres and a house, okay? And he, like 2 weeks later, he met somebody in the woods there, all right? Now this was a witch, and she got in an argument with John about the land, okay? And John says he's not going to give her the land. It's his land. She said, well, part of this is my land. And he started arguing. Well, she put a curse on him after she left, because he wouldn't give her the land that she said was his.
Right.
Put a curse, all right? All right? She conjured an entity that attacked him and his younger daughter. You pull her hair, scratch her, throw her down, okay? John maybe just pushed him, but the daughter was the one that the entity attacked, okay? And then she put a curse, well, the curse on him, like 2 or 3 years later, he died. The curse killed him, okay? And after that, the entity went away after he died, because he was the one who was cursed, and she was the one being attacked. But he was actually the one that cursed. So once he died, after 2 years, 3 years, the curse went away. But the Bell Witch didn't go away. If you could, paranormal teams now go to Tennessee. There's a cave close by where he lived, and they go inside the cave looking for the Bell Witch, supposedly in the cave. So you can YouTube that Bell Witch, and it'll tell you that they go in the cave looking for the Bell Witch with all kinds of scientific instruments and stuff.
Interesting.
Checking it. Yeah. So that's the same kind of entity that was in the Conjuring house that attacked Roger's wife. So that's it on that.
All right, so that's an interesting story, the Bell Witch. Closer to home, we just talked about some stuff, Rhode Island,
Yeah.
the Warrens,
Well,
what they did for
the
Rhode Island.
vampires, Mercy Brown, Rhode Island.
Yeah, we got the Mercy Brown vampires, yes. So there's a lot of things going on in New England, but right here we got people tuning in from Lawrence, Methuen, and beyond right now. Hi, Jason. John's still on with us. We got somebody tuning in from Connecticut. Thanks, Allison. To go further into this, right down, not too far from here is the city of Methuen, and we have the old Methuen Historical Museum, Tenny Gatehouse.
We're gonna need you to restart.
Why?
Restart just before the cough.
Okay. So what did I do?
You coughed with your mouth wide open.
Okay. So what was I saying?
I forget.
Were we done the Bell Witch?
I believe so.
Okay. So we're gonna go from the Bell Witch forward. I'll redo the whole thing, not just from that. Well, about 2 minutes, right?
About 2 minutes.
What, are you going to do the Bell Witch over?
No.
Oh.
No. We're gonna start after the Bell Witch, Kevin.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay.
We just finished up with the Bell Witch. That was a good story. That's a great story. It's one of the best ones out there for the paranormal.
Well, they made a movie of it too.
Yeah. So check out the movie. It is spooky Halloween night.
Yeah.
So with that, let's talk about some of the local hauntings, because we have a special guest coming on. We're gonna go a little over 6:30 tonight, just so you guys know to tune in. Stay tuned. So we got the Tenney Gatehouse in Methuen. Now you've been there, I've been there.
Right.
A lot of
We
teams have been there.
investigated.
We invest.
Yeah.
They have, you know, they have stopped investigations. A lot of places have, but that's good. That's fine. I respect that.
We had Carl and Keith Johnson.
Yeah, we had the
And John
Johnson-
Zaffis.
John Zaffis there, and we got a lot of stuff over there. We have pictures coming down from the ruins. We have baby on the wall. You caught something with an IR camera, if I remember correctly.
The orbs.
The orbs, and that was with an
And that
infrared.
was in the summer,
Yeah.
and there's no bugs.
So, Bill, why don't you explain what an infrared camera is?
Infrared is you can't see it. A lot of stuff can, snakes see in infrared. They can see it shoots a beam out and hits you and goes back to the snake, and they can see the outline of you or the thing that's going to kill, rat, mouse, or whatever, okay? But you can't see in infrared, but the camera can see in infrared, okay? And most likely an orb, a real orb in the infrared will glow. Everything else will look dull. If it's bugs, you know, insects, pollen, it'll all look dull. It won't be giving off its own light, okay? The orb will be giving off its own light if it's real. So the infrared can pick that up, okay? Now you can't use a thermal, okay, but you can use the infrared for that. Because most likely the thing will look kind of dull in the thermal too. So
Right.
just want to use infrared.
Even during the daytime, during COVID, when Essex County was still going, you weren't with us, but we went over to Tenney Gatehouse in broad daylight. The pendulum and the S-box was going ballistic that day. In broad daylight, like 2 in the afternoon, if I remember correctly. So we don't have to go up there at nighttime, but it is no longer a place to investigate.
Yeah, I don't want
You
nobody
do need
in.
permission.
Yeah.
There's this great story that's told about a dog. The Searles dog, actually,
Sure.
near the entrance of the old PMA. So across the street from that, from the Waldo House, which is now Pollard's Funeral Home, you're going to see St. Monica's School and St. Monica's Rectory. Rectory, where the priests live. Right on, then so you go in over the road, you come out, you're leaving St. Monica's, you go out the driveway, you see the sidewalk, so there's, between the driveway, the road, there's a little island, a grass island, okay? And it looks like a house. It looks more like a dog house, we could say.
Okay.
It's a stone structure. Edward Francis Searle's dog supposedly haunts that. And at 9 o'clock at night, and sometimes later, you can walk around in circles, especially on Halloween night,
Okay.
and you could hear the dog bark. That's also been one of those old newspaper stories about paranormal. We went out there one afternoon, on a Sunday afternoon, and we did not hear the dog bark. We had audio recorders going, video recorders going. We heard plenty of cars drive by, but did not get the dog to bark. So we're not sure
Did you have
about...
a voice recorder? You can record
we
it?
did. There was no dog barking.
Oh, God.
Maybe one night we'll take a ride out there, and since it's on the street, I mean, literally on the street.
Get your voice recorder.
I don't think anyone's really gonna bother us at 10, 11 o'clock at night.
Yeah,
And we're not in the cemetery, and see if you catch anything.
right. Now, how about that Jewish cemetery with a bridge?
That
Did you
is
catch
in
anything
Hayward.
A
The
voice
Jewish
recorder?
cemetery. Oh yeah, we caught it years and years and years and years ago. I took a group of people in. I actually had a cassette recorder going.
Okay.
And on the cassette it said, "Get out."
So you got out, I hope.
Yeah, we got out.
All right.
Another time we went in there, a couple team members got taken over. We actually had to drive them out of the cemetery. Oh, my friend Neil is just tuned in.
Okay.
Who else is tuning in? That's it so far. So, I want to thank everybody for tuning in tonight. So the dog thing, we just finished up with the Lawrence Street graveyard. We went in there in broad daylight.
Is that
too.
the big one?
That's the big one right near the Waldo house. How's that?
I'm not sure if your battery died.
Okay, it's not working at all?
No, it doesn't seem to be.
How about mine? Mine still working?
We're picking up audio, but not.
How about now? Wow. The-
Yes, but it's not sounding like it was.
So what do you think? The battery died?
Yeah.
Running into problems. Oh.
We're running into paranormal problems here tonight while we're live on
The
Facebook.
spirits are after us.
So we're gonna get the staff to get me a new battery.
Okay.
They're in the camera bag, and we're gonna continue live on Facebook till they get that resolved. Then we will go back on video.
Okay.
So anybody out there in Facebook land, I don't know why the battery died. Those were brand new batteries put in too.
That happens.
It happens. It's Halloween.
Things
The
are out.
spirits are out and rolling.
Must be crazy in
Crazy, crazy,
Must be crazy in Salem, Mass.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
I
they're
can't
going nutty
believe.
now.
Yeah. Forget Salem, Mass.
Yeah.
Boy, this place is loaded tonight. Must have been all the people who worked here in the past.
Yeah. The spirits are in here, floating around.
So, I mean, it is a very interesting night.
Yeah.
I'm calling in our guest. So we have a guest coming on tonight. His name is Rob Guthrow, author, meteorologist, pet psychic. So he just messaged me that we're ready.
Hello, this is Rob.
Hey Rob, this is Tom Spitaleri, Essex County Ghost Project. How we doing?
Doing great, Tom. How are you?
Well, I was doing great, but we're having all sorts of technical problems at the studio tonight. Brand new batteries are dying and everything. I can't believe it.
Sounds like you might have a ghost in the studio.
Yeah, you never know these days, huh?
Yeah.
So, Rob is from all over the place. We've had Rob on the Paranormal Zone before, so he was nice enough to come on tonight and talk about, what's going on. So, you have an interesting background. Most paranormal people I interview, even on the other shows,
Yeah.
don't have quite the depth of a background you do.
Well, everybody offers something different.
Yes, that is for sure. And so you started off when you were a kid. How old were you when you realized you could talk to animals?
Well, I was 13 when I realized I could talk to people, and
Okay.
I think I was like 43 when I was able to talk to animals.
Oh, wow. Well, okay.
Yeah.
And in between that, you took up science.
Yes, I did. I took up meteorology.
Yes.
Yeah.
And what did some of your, we don't want to get, that must have been tough being the way science was, especially back in the day. It's still that way, but not nearly as bad as it was 30 years ago or 20 years ago.
Well, yeah.
It must have been tough trying to be a meteorologist and do what you do.
So I never let anybody know that I was a medium in the science community. So I lived two separate lives. I was like Clark Kent and Superman. Nobody knew what the other one was doing.
So now, then you went through your life, you retired, right?
Yeah.
And then you became a publisher, an author. So what are some of the books you've written?
Gosh, I've written 13. I've got 4 series of books. One is Pets and the Afterlife. There are 4 books there that teach people how to communicate, how their pets communicate from the afterlife. Another series is called Haunting Of, and that's when I go to specific places and investigate, like the haunting of Emory State, Weymouth. I got a book coming out January 1st of the haunting of Hunt Memorial Library up there in Nashua, New Hampshire, so not too far away.
No.
I've got 2 other series. One is Ghosts on a Medium's Vacation, about England, Ireland, Birdcage Theater. And the other one is Ghosts versus Spirits, like paranormal investigations, and then spirits of our loved ones. But I've got some interesting stories that I thought about for you tonight.
All right, but that's excellent. So when you first became the author, did your friends call you up and go, "What happened to you"?
No, they were kind of surprised that I wrote a book, but and then I had to kind of explain, how I was inspired to write a book. So my very first book included 2 things. Number one, it included how my dog Buzz taught me how pets communicate. So there's a long chapter in there about that. But the biggest chapter is about my dad. My dad passed away in August 2nd, 2008. And he helped me prove to my mother and my brothers that my dad was at his own wake and his own funeral with a handkerchief. And that's kind of a cool story.
All righty. So you had some cool stories you thought about to tell us tonight, since it is Halloween. And happy Halloween to you, Rob. So let's get started with some of these great Halloween stories that our listeners can listen to tonight.
Okay. I mentioned my dad. So this is not a scary story. It's more of a comforting story for the listeners. One about spirits. Now, in my view, I make a distinction between ghosts, which I say are earthbound at a fixed location of their choosing, or spirits like our loved ones who have all crossed over onto the other side. So, the first story is about a spirit. It's about my dad. My dad and I were very close. I was very close to both my parents. During my dad's wake, I could sense him standing there and watching people come in. Now, we all go to our own wake or our own funeral because we want to see who comes in. During the funeral, I was sitting next to my mother, myself and my husband, and I saw my dad. It's very rare that I see people in spirit or ghost. I saw my dad on the pulpit of the church during the funeral, and he walked over to me, and he stood there, and my mother was crying, of course. Her Kleenex was crumbling in her hands, and my dad leaned over to me and he said, "Tell your mother to use my handkerchief." And I thought, what? And he said it, my dad said it again. And I said, "What?" out loud. And my mother looked at me and said, "Who are you talking to?" And I told her, I said, I'm talking to Dad. And she said, "What is he at? What did he say?" And I said, "He wants you to use his handkerchief." Now, Tom, in 53 years my parents were married. My mother never touched my father's handkerchiefs. Because she always said that they were gross, and she wanted him to wash them separately in the washing machine and not touch her clothes. So when I told her that he said use his handkerchief, her mouth dropped to the floor, and she reached in her purse and she pulled out his handkerchief. And she said, "How in the world did you know?" And I said, Dad told me. That was the first time in 53 years my mother has ever touched my father's handkerchief. She had apparently put it in her purse that morning. So they believed after that, my dad was certainly at his own wake and his own funeral.
Interesting.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing when you can when you can prove that somebody is there. Did you want a ghost story?
Yeah. It is Halloween.
You wanted a ghost story, okay? So I've been on a number of paranormal investigations with the Inspired Ghost Tracking Team, and they're out of Maryland, and I worked with them a lot. I worked with them for about 15 years. So we were called into a townhouse in Maryland to investigate some weird goings on. There were reports of shadow figures and all kinds of things going on. So we tried to get to the bottom of this because there were teenagers in the house, and they had both seen this figure. We knew nothing about it going in, myself and the other medium. When we walked in the door, I could actually see a man standing at the top of the stairs, and I sketched him out. And he was a balding man. He had hair on the sides of his head. He was about in his 40s or 50s. I even saw that he had a mole on his right cheek, and he was stocky. He was about 5'8". So I sketched him out, and I wrote all these things down, and then I showed this to the other medium. Well, the other medium confirmed every single thing that I picked up from him. What's interesting is that a technical team had gone in before, and they had taken multiple infrared thermal camera images. When they sent me one and I compared it to the sketch, it looked very much like the guy that I drew. So that's pretty, to me, that's pretty haunting. I mean, an infrared image that looks like a sketch that I drew is pretty cool. So we found out who he was. It turned out this guy came to be in the house because he had attached himself to the homeowner's sons. The homeowner's sons, as it turned out, used to go to a gym in Baltimore. Well, this guy, when he was a steel worker back in the I think it was back in the 50s, he had sons that he had taught boxing in a gym in Baltimore, and tragically, the sons passed away. So he attached himself to these other two boys because they reminded him of his boys. And that's how he got into the house. He didn't live on that property. He didn't live in that house. And it's very rare that a ghost will find you, but and won't come with you. But that's what this guy did. Anyway, we were able to cross him over. We had to open a door to the other side, and we finally brought him some peace and reunited him with his sons. What's interesting is that before we crossed him over, the living family's dog in this house had entered the room and spun around in a circle, and then finally the dog calmed down after we crossed him over. So the dog could sense him too, and the same thing happened in Linville Manor after we convinced the ghost to go inhabit one corner of the basement that he was dwelling in. A year later, a woman brought her dog over, and her dog walked over to that corner and stared, and even sat up on its butt, staring at that corner, because that's where we asked the ghost to go. So pets have the ability to see and hear earthbound ghosts or spirits.
That is interesting, Rob. That's a good one.
Yeah, so there's some, there's a lot of crazy stuff. There was another experience that I did with Inspired Ghost Tracking, and they were tasked to put together a ghost walk in a part of Baltimore. So I went with them and another medium, and we walked around Baltimore, a part of Baltimore called Federal Hill, and we tried to see if there was anybody there. And I connected with a number of different ghosts that were there, actually. One of the most interesting things I connected with was, I think it was Montgomery Street. I saw that there was a horse-drawn carriage, and there was a teenager who had run out in front of this horse-drawn carriage.
Okay.
I think it was in the early 1800s, and he was killed there. And he was still lingering on that street. He entered one of the houses on that street. The historian for the Inspired Ghost Tracking team did some research and did find that there was a young man that was killed by a horse-drawn carriage on that street in the 1800s.
Nice.
Yeah. So, what's sad, though, is that he still lingers there.
Mm-hmm. That is true.
Yeah.
So you said you've been to Baltimore.
Yes.
Now, Baltimore has an interesting history with Lawrence, Massachusetts.
Oh, no kidding. I did not know that.
Yeah.
What is it?
So, when was the first battle of the American Civil War? Where was it, I should say?
The American Civil War?
No, Civil War.
It was a shot fired in Charleston, South Carolina, I think, wasn't it? From a fort?
Some say it was not. Some say it was the Baltimore riots.
Okay.
So what happened was, Lincoln wanted more protection around D.C., so he asked more troops. The 6th Mass answered their call, and headed to Readingville first, to Boston, Readingville, and then from Readingville to Baltimore. But they had to get off beforehand because the trains didn't go all the way to Camden Yards. They would they would move the cars by hand to Camden Yards, and you get back on. Okay? Mm-hmm. And in that time frame, the Southern sympathizers attacked the Northern soldiers, and one guy actually died there.
Okay.
So.
Yeah, I vaguely remember it. I mean, reading about it.
Yeah. So, I mean, Baltimore's quite the, ties over to Lawrence, Massachusetts, where we are today. So.
Wow.
So, Bill, what'd you think of some of these stories? Interesting?
Interesting.
So I got Bill with me. He's my science and tech advisor for my team. You and him are going to get along great.
Hey, Bill.
How you doing?
Good, thanks.
Yeah, you guys are going to get along pretty well over here because you're both you got the scientific mind and he's got a scientific mind. And of course, now I want to bring up something else when we'll get back to ghost stories. You being a meteorologist, last night we had one heck of a windstorm and a rainstorm.
Mm-hmm.
Did you get it out in Maine? Did you get it where you live?
Yeah, sure did. We get to 2 solid inches of rain.
Oh, wow. All right, so a storm like last night, even though there wasn't a lot of thunder and lightning, there was water, there was active atmosphere. How does that interact with the spirit world?
So there's a lot of energy in weather, whether it's water energy, heat that's released whenever condensation happens. So all storms contain a lot of energy. Think of the amount of energy in a hurricane.
Mm-hmm. Like the one that just hit poor Jamaica, right?
Yeah, I mean, if you could harness the energy in that, it would power the U.S. for years.
Oh, wow. So one hurricane would power the U.S. for years.
Yeah, if we could figure out how to harness it, but we can't.
Right. So there's that much energy. So if the spirits are looking for energy after a storm like that, they would be out.
Sure, and you know the Smithsonian actually did an article. Smithsonian Magazine did an article about capturing energy from a hurricane, and it's estimated that an average storm would release about 600 terawatts of energy.
Terawatts.
Between the wind and the rain, and I mean, it's unfathomable, really.
So for my people listening at home, including me, what is terawatts measured in?
Well, think of the watts in a light bulb.
Okay.
So let's see, a terawatt is about 1 trillion watts.
Holy God.
Yeah, 1 trillion. So that's why it would power the U.S. for a long time.
Wow. Okay, so if you got hit with a terawatt, you wouldn't be around. They wouldn't find you.
Oh yeah, you would be toast.
Wow. Okay. That just enlightened all of us in the studio.
Yeah, so there's a tremendous amount of energy in a hurricane. But you know, that said, there's a lot of and hurricanes are made up really of hundreds of rotating thunderstorms.
Okay.
So, you know, so just think of how much energy would be in an average storm.
Wow. That's just amazing. Wonder why spirit activity after a storm can pick up.
Yeah, or during.
Or during,
a
yeah.
storm. Yep. So I always tell people that those old black and white movies, those old horror movies, when it was thundering and lightning outside, they were really onto something, because really storms provide a lot of the energy for earthbound ghosts or spirits who've crossed over to manifest.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. So.
Very, very interesting. So you had another ghost story you wanted to tell?
Sure. Actually, did I tell you that I lived in a haunted house and I didn't know it?
No, you never told us that one.
This is kind of an interesting story, because so in 1997, I went back to school to get my 3rd degree, which was in meteorology, and I moved to Bowling Green, Kentucky. I had never been to Kentucky before, but the Western Kentucky University had a program that I wanted to get a degree from, so I went. And I wound up renting a room out of a 2-bedroom house, small house right near campus. The house was owned by this college student's parents, who had purchased the house so that he could go to school and live on campus. And then they had another room, so he rented it out. And I said, "Cool, that'd be great." So I was in my early 30s, and this kid was like 20. So he told me that he told me that I could move in August and early August, and he was going to move in like 3 weeks later or 2 weeks later. I said, okay, fine. It was an old house. I didn't know anything about Bowling Green, Kentucky, nothing. Long story short, and I asked him what happened to his roommate, and he said, "Oh, he just moved out. He moved on to a different place." I'm like, "Okay." So at 2:30 in the morning on the first Tuesday night that I was there, this tiny little house, which has a kitchen on the other side of the house from the bedrooms, and has a back door from the kitchen to the backyard, which was tiny. At 2:30 in the morning, somebody was pounding on the back door, and of course, it scared the hell out of me. I thought it was a drunk college kid. I got up, I turned on the lights in the house. I got to the kitchen, turned on the light, and the pounding stopped. So my first inclination was run over to the door, look out the window. There was nobody there in the backyard. So I called the college student the next day, and I told him, I said, somebody was pounding on the back door, and I said, has this ever happened before, or is there something that I need to know? And he said, well, there's a motion activated light in the back. Did that go on? And I said, no, it didn't. And he said, oh, okay. He said, well, hopefully it will go on next time. And that was it. So on the next Tuesday at 2:30 in the morning, the pounding on the back door happened again. Scared the hell out of me. From my bedroom, which was in the back, I looked out the back window, and the motion-activated light was not on. So I walked over to the kitchen, turned on the light, and it stopped. I thought, okay, that's weird. This is 2 weeks in a row, always Tuesday, 2:30 in the morning. The next night, I walked outside after sunset, and the motion-activated light worked perfectly when I was up there. So I didn't know what to make of it. When the kid moved in, I told him about it, and he said, yeah, that's why my last roommate moved out.
Okay.
And I said, all right. I said, so it's not a drunk college kid? And he said, no. And I said, so are you saying it may be a ghost, perhaps? This was before my abilities came out.
Yeah.
So he said, maybe. So, Tom, the first Tuesday night that he was there, that third week, 2:30 in the morning, pounding on the back door. I bumped into him in the hallway. He was scared to death. He was like hiding behind me, and he said, you go first. So I did, and I stood at the back door. There was nothing there. Of course, turn on the light, and the pounding stopped. And so I stood at the doorway, and I said, cut it out. I do not want to deal with this anymore. So I figured, okay, the ghost is not going to bother me anymore. Well, a couple weeks later, I was home studying by myself. I put some soup on in the kitchen. I'm sitting out in the small dining room area. I walked back in after doing some studying to get my soup. All of the kitchen cabinets were open.
Oh, wow.
By themselves. And so then I realized the ghost was not outside. The ghost was inside.
Yes.
And it at that point, it scared the hell out of me. But so I took a firm stand, and I told the ghost, okay, we live here. You don't live here anymore. Please do not bother us. And I asked him to go to another place. And we did not hear from him again.
Oh, good.
So
that's excellent, Rob. That at least you got through the rest of your college years, got your degree in meteorology, and moved on.
It was just another year that I was there, so it only took a year for me to get through. But
So we're coming near the end of the show, and I had a few more things out. But if people want to get a hold of all your great books, how could they get a hold of them?
Sure. Hey, you can get me on Amazon. I'm all over Amazon. Just type in Gutro, Gutro.
All righty. And
Yep.
Rob, I want to thank you for coming on tonight. I know you got to get ready for another big radio show too. So good luck with that tonight, my friend. And I'll be calling you soon. Thank you very much.
Happy Halloween. Thank you.
Happy Halloween to you too, Rob. What a fascinating gentleman Rob is, huh? Author, meteorologist, and all this other stuff going on. I want to end tonight with we started with it, then the ghost hit us.
Ghost hit us.
Yes. But I want to finish up tonight with the...
Are we on now?
We're on, yeah. Well, I want to finish up with the Tenny Gatehouse, I think.
Penny Gatehouse? How about the collider?
The what?
The hydrant collider.
Yeah.
The one in Switzerland, Geneva.
Oh, yes. We can finish up with that one.
Okay. What happened was Aleister Crowley, right? He's an occultist because he died.
Yes.
Him and Parsons, Jack Parsons, he's a rocket scientist, jet propulsion. He was with Aleister Crowley. They're trying to contact demons through a portal.
Yes, this could go no way but bad.
Well, they tried.
Yeah.
They had enough energy to break through to the portal. Okay? The Hadron Collider now, somebody was told by whistleblowers that were in there that they did open a portal up. Okay? And they let entities through.
Mm-hmm.
It took 6 trillion teravolts, 6 trillion teravolts to open that portal up. That's the power it took to open a portal up. This is the only thing that could open it with that type of power. Of course, they deny they did anything.
Right.
But the scientists that squealed on them said they did open it.
Right.
And let some of the entities in through.
Wow.
So, yeah.
That was an interesting story.
Yeah.
You never know what you're going to find in the paranormal world. It's a very interesting, intricate world between UFOs, Bigfoots, cryptids, stone structures, and we didn't even tip the world tonight on
Well,
iceberg.
UFO's been quiet about that for like 90 years.
Yes.
They've been suppressing the
Information, yes. And we've discussed that in other shows.
Yeah.
But as far as tonight is concerned, we're coming to the end of this show. I want to thank everybody who tuned in tonight live on Facebook, tuning in at home. Thank the spirits for having fun tonight with us. Boy, was that a fun Halloween. It was probably one of the better Halloween shows we had, because we actually had spirits interacting with us.
Yes, they drain the battery.
Drain the batteries.
That's nice.
Yes. And even the phone battery here is kind of low. And that was off the charger, so that's even more interesting. So I want to thank you. I want to thank everybody tuning in tonight. We will be back again with the regular paranormal show that we always do. And we'll have some new guests on, new stuff to talk about this year. We got another month of it left, but this year was a pretty successful year. We still got November. It's been a pretty successful year overall, and we've been real happy with the paranormal, and we're going to continue to move forward, and helping people is what we do.
We'll talk to you.
We'll talk to you, yes. So good night, everybody. Tom's heading back to the crypt.
Good night.
And good night.
Good night, everybody.
Thank you.